Live from Houston, Texas, the humidity capital of the world, it's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
Hey guys, man, I'm excited about today's show. Let me tell you, you're in store for just some, I want to say, brilliant content. I think that you'll find today's show not only informative, but I think it's also going to be a lot of fun, as we always try to deliver both good information as well as a fun time. My next guest, one of our regular contributors, is Francis Jackson. He's an attorney who specializes in disability law for those seeking veterans disability benefits, Social Security benefits, disability benefits. He's also a founding partner at Jackson and MacNichol. He has been featured on NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News Network affiliates around the country. He's most recently appeared as a guest of Ben Glass on the Consumer Advocate show, discussing the benefits of veterans and Social Security disability benefits and how his practice allows him to make a difference in the lives of people facing disabilities. He has become one of our favorite contributors, and always a pleasure to have him on the show. Francis Jackson, welcome back to Money for Lunch.
Thanks, Bert. Always nice to be here.
All right, so let's talk about this, because, you and I have had several different discussions about, veterans and about disability and all this other stuff, but I want to talk about how do somebody, let's say, a World War II veterans apply for disability benefits?
Well, Bert, it's interesting. I got looking the other day. I just happened to be in a restaurant in Florida, and this gentleman came in wearing a World War II veteran hat, and I hadn't run into any folks who had served in World War II in a year or two, and I was kind of curious. So I got online, and of the 16 million folks who served in World War II in the armed services for the U.S., there are still over 1 million of those folks that are with us. And the short answer to your question is they apply by contacting the VA. Pretty much the same process as any other veteran for applying for benefits, but it's pretty straightforward. They just contact the local office of the Veterans Administration, and if they're up to it, they can do that online. As you know, some folks who are older or who have disabilities involving eyesight, that can be difficult. But if they can't do it online, they can call the VA and ask them to send them forms, or they can have someone submit the forms on their behalf. But it's a pretty simple process. Once they contact the VA and tell them they want to make a claim, the VA is obligated to try to help them with that, within reasonable limits,
Right.
to get that claim going and see if they can evaluate it.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this. Are there special benefits for our older vets?
Well, there are, Bert. There are two kinds of benefits that are primarily for older veterans. There is a benefit that the Veterans Administration refers to as aid and attendance. And what that is over and above the regular benefits that you can get, there's a special additional allowance the VA can give for people who are not able to care for themselves and need a third party to be with them, depending on the circumstances, either to physically help them or just kind of keep an eye on them and make sure they don't fall or they don't get into trouble in some other way. So that's one possibility. There's a second, somewhat more specialized benefit that the VA refers to as housebound, and it's just what the name implies. It's a situation where people, because of their disabilities, whether it's deteriorating eyesight or physical problems that prevent them from walking effectively, or whatever the circumstances may be, including mental impairments even, there is a special benefit where if you're confined to your own home, the VA recognizes that requires additional costs, and there is a special benefit that they can make available to those folks who qualify for that.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you, do World War II era veterans need to have actually served in a combat type environment to be eligible?
No, no. Anyone that served in World War II in the armed services would qualify for both pension benefits if their income is at the right level or below, or for regular service-connected compensation benefits. In fact, Bert, World War II is actually very interesting because they extended veterans benefits not only to those specifically in the armed services, but for people who served in the merchant marine for a period of time during the war, because of the importance that was attached to the contributions those folks made on convoys to taking equipment to everywhere from Russia to other points, even some in the Pacific.
Well, that's cool. That's kind of a little what do you call it? What is it? Kind of a trivia there that most people are not aware of. I did not know that it extended to the merchant marines, or that they were even involved.
Yeah, the Congress passed a special law treating folks who served in the merchant marine in the latter part of the war as being entitled to veterans benefits, even just on the same basis as if they'd been in the Navy.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. It always makes you feel good when our government, what do you call it?
Does something right?
Yeah, does something right. I didn't want to say it like that. I was going to say give attention to people who've done a great job. But yeah, when they step up and they do the right thing, that's awesome. It makes you feel good.
It does. I thought that was a very very important provision because, as you know, some of those folks were on ammunition ships and things like that. It was really very, very dangerous work.
Absolutely. Hey, let me ask you this. Okay, so what types of disability benefits are available to those veterans?
Well, the ordinary benefits that are available to all veterans are available to them. Those are service-related compensation, which simply means that you can be compensated for any disability or injury or illness that is related to your time in service. There's also what's called a pension benefit. That's only available to those who served in some period of war, whether it's World War II or Korea or the Vietnam era or the current conflict in the Middle East. But there is a special set of what they call presumptions that apply to some folks who served in World War II. Anyone in that conflict who was a prisoner of war, there are a whole host of unusual diseases that a lot of prisoners, particularly prisoners held by the Japanese, were exposed to. Beriberi, for example, not really a common disease, but for those folks who were exposed to it as prisoners of war, there is a presumption that is service-connected, so they don't have to prove with medical evidence that the problem is related to their service. They simply have to prove that they have that problem, and it extends to some less esoteric things than beriberi. For example, malaria. People who suffer from that are presumptively service-connected if they were prisoners of war.
Wow. All right. Let's talk about this. Are these special benefits? Are there special benefit issues for those who served in World War II? Let's say physical or emotional.
There actually are not beyond the presumptions, Bert. The general range of service connection is available certainly to all of those folks. As the World War II veteran population ages, and those folks on average are in their 90s now.
Right.
A lot of them have different medical needs and different problems. So many of them are developing illnesses or conditions that weren't obvious years ago and may now be eligible for service connection. But primarily, the most common kinds of benefits that those folks need are the the ones we talked about earlier that are generally available for older veterans, including housebound and aid and attendance.
Gotcha. Hey, are there benefits for the families of those who served in World War II as well?
There are, and this is one of those rarely known facts, I'm afraid. The word doesn't seem to have gotten out. Pretty much anyone who served in World War II and has a surviving spouse, that spouse will be eligible for either pension benefits, assuming their income falls within the guidelines, or what's called dependency and indemnity compensation, which is a big mouthful from the VA that just means essentially the loss of their spouse. As long as that death is service related, they can be paid a benefit that's about $1,000 a month, actually a little more now. But they can be paid that benefit, and that just depends on the former service person's death having been related to service, or that the person was had an extended period, 10 years, of being service connected at the 100% level. Either of those would qualify.
Gotcha. You know what? And something you said, and I know you didn't mean to say it like this, but or at least this is the way I picked it up. And you said, this is something that sometimes is not well known, and that is that these families are entitled to these benefits. And so if you think you're entitled to benefits, or if you want to try to find out what benefits you're entitled to, you may want to seek some help, because it's very possible that that you are entitled to benefits and not even know it, and that would be a big, I think, a terrible shame.
That is actually a big issue, Bert. A lot of folks who are eligible for veterans benefits, particularly older folks, are not aware of their entitlement to benefits. The service, the various services, and the VA are doing a better job with folks returning from the current conflict in formerly Iraq and now Afghanistan, and those folks are applying in actually fairly significant numbers for benefits. But a lot of older folks simply don't realize that they could be getting benefits that are often higher than their Social Security benefits, or benefits that they could receive in addition to their Social Security benefits. And as we go around the country to these different hearings, it always surprises me that I'll meet folks and be chatting with them about what I do, and they'll say, "Gee, I didn't realize that you could get veterans benefits under these circumstances," and it's an eye-opener at how many people are simply not aware of the potential benefits that are available.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like I said, there's so many of us that, again, you just find out that your spouse has died, and you're overwhelmed, and right now maybe you're not thinking of benefits, but sooner or later that may come into play. Sooner or later, that could be a huge benefit, a resource to that family who's going to be struggling with the loss of that spouse.
It is, Bert, and I know, just from our experience in my office, that there are a number of elderly widows that simply don't realize that they're eligible for these benefits.
Wow. All right. Hey, as always, Francis Jackson, it's good to have you here. Guys, if you have questions about disability, if you have questions about what you're entitled to, check out our good friend Francis Jackson. You can check him out at Jackson-MacNichol. That's MacNichol.com. Jackson-MacNichol.com. As always, Francis Jackson, thank you so much for stopping by.
Bert, my pleasure. Nice talking to you today.
All right, same here, bud. Guys, that wraps it up. What a great show. Great content. And I mean this sincerely to the men and women and the families who have served in the armed forces. Check out our contributor, Francis Jackson. Check him out at Jackson-MacNichol.com and find out what you're entitled to. Let him help you out if he can. He'll be glad to talk to you. We'll see you here tomorrow.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch, and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.